You're just a...
Sword Art Online hater.
I'm not a...
Sword Art Online hater.
I'm the...
Sword Art Online hater.
Sword Art Online is a boring disaster from start to finish. The writing is a sloppy, incoherent mess that plays out more like a rough first draft than a fully developed story. Plot holes are everywhere, making it hard to take anything seriously. It constantly introduces ideas without following through, and when it tries to be deep or emotional, it feels forced and hollow. The characters are painfully one-dimensional. Kirito is the blandest kind of overpowered self-insert protagonist, surrounded by a cast of forgettable side characters. Development is non-existent. Characters don't grow or change in meaningful ways. They're written with such little depth that you could swap them out, and nothing about the story would change. Sword Art Online squanders an interesting concept by drowning it in lazy storytelling, awkward pacing, and cringe-worthy dialogue. It's honestly confusing how or why anyone genuinely likes Sword Art Online when there are so many better-written, more thoughtful movies and shows out there. The bar for quality storytelling isn't that low. At this point, you have to wonder if the fans were literally born yesterday, and Sword Art Online is the first piece of media they've ever seen. That's the only way the praise makes any sense, because anyone with even a little exposure to well-crafted narratives would see just how hollow and clumsy this series really is. The game design in Sword Art Online is absolutely terrible. None of the fictional games featured in the series would ever work in real life, not even close. The mechanics are vague, the rules are inconsistent, and there's no real sense of how the systems function beyond whatever the plot needs at the moment. It's clear the author has never actually played an MMORPG before, or if they have, they completely missed what makes those games engaging in the first place. Instead of capturing the complexity and community of real online worlds, Sword Art Online just throws together a shallow, game-like setting with no depth or logic. It's game design written by someone who thinks levels and swords are all you need.
If you're looking for a truly great animated movie series, Kung Fu Panda is absolutely worth checking out. These films are packed with thrilling action, heartfelt storytelling, and stunning animation that still holds up beautifully. The voice acting is top-notch, with every character brought to life in a way that's both funny and emotionally grounded. Beyond the laughs and fight scenes, there's real depth in the themes of identity, growth, and inner strength. It's one of those rare animated series that appeals to both kids and adults without ever talking down to its audience. The Kung Fu Panda movies are better than Sword Art Online in every way. The storytelling is tighter, the characters actually grow and have depth, and the emotional beats feel earned instead of forced. Visually, the animation is stunning and full of life, unlike Sword Art Online's generic digital backdrops. Even the action scenes are more exciting and better choreographed. Where Sword Art Online stumbles through cliches and lazy writing, Kung Fu Panda delivers heart, humor, and real substance. It's a perfect example of how to tell a fun, meaningful story that respects its audience. In this video, let's take a closer look at the Kung Fu Panda movies and explore what makes them such a standout animated series.
Here's how to beat Tai Lung in Kung Fu Panda. Shifu talks to Oogway, who envisions the imminent return of Tai Lung from prison. Killing Tai Lung would have been a smarter move. This movie is set in ancient China, where capital punishment was quite common. Therefore, Tai Lung should have been executed instead of imprisoned. 1,000 guards are assigned to watch over Tai Lung, and he's the only prisoner. We don't know how much the guards are paid, but it must be very costly, since Tai Lung was locked up for 20 years. Having so many guards for one prisoner over such a long period of time is a big waste of money. If they had simply executed Tai Lung, they wouldn't have needed to hire so many guards or build an entire prison for him. Oogway selects Po as the Dragon Warrior. Tigress wants Po to leave. Honestly, it's not a terrible idea. Po doesn't seem to have what it takes to be the Dragon Warrior. He should strongly consider stepping down and passing the responsibility to someone more capable, like Tigress. Getting involved only puts him at risk, and it's best to let the experts handle Tai Lung. Tai Lung escapes his restraints using a feather. However, it seems unlikely that a feather could be used to pick a lock. Lockpicking requires specialized tools, which are designed for the task. Furthermore, the prison guards were too slow to react. They should have kept a constant watch on Tai Lung. They only noticed that something was wrong after Tai Lung had already picked the lock. The guards should have had a better chance against Tai Lung. Rhinos are known for their size, strength, thick skin, and horns. The odds should have heavily favored the rhinos. The rhinos also had the added advantage of using weapons and armor, whereas Tai Lung was unarmed and without armor. Considering Tai Lung was restrained for 20 years, it's surprising that he's so powerful. Realistically, after 2 decades without any fighting or training, Tai Lung should be very weak and out of practice. A flashback scene shows how Shifu discovered Tai Lung as a cub and raised him like a son. It was never enough for Tai Lung. He coveted the Dragon Scroll, but Oogway denied him. In a fit of rage, Tai Lung wreaked havoc on the valley and attempted to take the scroll by force, only to be stopped by Oogway. As mentioned before, it would have been smarter to kill Tai Lung, preventing the potential for future revenge. Shifu doubts Po's abilities, but Oogway persuades him to believe in Po. After Afterwards, Oogway is sentenced to the spirit realm, but it would have been better if he stayed. In the flashback scene, Oogway easily stopped Tai Lung, so he could do it again. This isn't the right time for Oogway to leave, when he's needed the most. Shifu trains Po using food as a motivator. Shifu, having trained Tai Lung, should be aware of his fighting style and weaknesses. The focus should be on finding ways to beat Tai Lung. The Furious Five face off against Tai Lung, but they end up losing. They should have all fought him together. Instead of going one by one, they should have chosen a level ground to fight on, so they wouldn't have had to worry about holding the bridge up. The Dragon Scroll is completely blank. Oogway should have given it to Tai Lung. It would have avoided a lot of chaos and betrayal. Why did Oogway not want Tai Lung to get the scroll? The message could be written in invisible ink, which was used in ancient China. Shifu plans to take on Tai Lung by himself, while everyone else evacuates. It's not a good move. Shifu couldn't stop Tai Lung because of his affection for him. If he struggled with Tai Lung before, there's no guarantee that he can defeat him now. The Furious Five and Po should stay behind to help Shifu. With strength in numbers and a new strategy, they should have a much better chance at beating Tai Lung this time. Tai Lung confronts Shifu for the Dragon Scroll. It seems like a simple solution for Shifu to tell him the truth about it. There's no reason for Shifu to risk his life and die over a blank scroll. If Tai Lung found out that the scroll doesn't actually contain the secret to limitless power, he would most likely realize the futility of his pursuit and end this madness. Moreover, Shifu should have the upper hand in the fight against Tai Lung. He trained him and taught him everything he knows. Tai Lung defeats Shifu, proving it was a mistake for him to face Tai Lung alone. Additionally, Shifu could have benefited from using weapons during the battle, instead of fighting unarmed. In traditional Kung Fu, various styles include weapon use, such as staffs, swords, and spears. Po fights Tai Lung and is overpowered. Tai Lung takes the Dragon Scroll. He opens it, and is puzzled to find it blank. Po beats Tai Lung using the Wuxi fingerhold technique, which he learned on his own. If Po had this move from the beginning, he should have used it a lot earlier, avoiding the entire fight and preventing building damage. Waiting until the end was risky, as Tai Lung could have killed Po. Po should have started with his strongest move in the fight, as survival is uncertain, and saving powerful moves for later might not be an option. And why didn't any of the Furious Five learn the Wuxi fingerhold technique? If Po, who had no prior training, could master it all by himself, surely they could too. Shifu knows the Wuxi fingerhold technique, so it's unclear why he didn't use it against Tai Lung. If he had, he could have beaten him without breaking a sweat. Po's victory over Tai Lung is attributed to his unorthodox approach. Unlike the more skilled and traditional techniques of Shifu and the Furious Five, Po incorporates his unique style, combining elements of clumsiness, adaptability, and creativity. Po's ability to turn his supposed weaknesses into strengths caught Tai Lung off guard, showcasing that unconventional methods can be extremely effective in the right hands. Tai Lung was sent to the spirit realm, and he's set to return in Kung Fu Panda 4. Po should have killed him instead of sending him to the spirit realm. The only way to stop Tai Lung is by taking him out for good, otherwise he'll escape and come back for revenge. Like how he escaped from prison in this movie, Po earns everyone's respect and is celebrated as a hero. Shifu is alright in the end. Po and Shifu decide to grab a bite to eat together. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.
Here's how to beat Shen in Kung Fu Panda 2. In ancient China, Gangmen City was ruled by peacocks. They were the ones who invented fireworks. However, Shen had different plans. He wanted to use the gunpowder in the fireworks as a weapon. Shen's parents sought advice from a soothsayer. She predicted that a black and white warrior would be Shen's downfall if he continued down this dark path. Shen overheard this and he ordered his army to kill all of the pandas. As a consequence, Shen was banished from the city forever, but he vowed to return and seek revenge. Considering Shen's role in orchestrating the genocide of pandas, he should have been executed rather than just banished. In ancient China, the death penalty was frequently used as a punishment. Moreover, why is Shen so sure that a black and white warrior must be a panda? Soothsayer never said it would be a panda. There are loads of other animals with those colors, like white tigers, zebras, orcas, penguins, Dalmatians, and skunks. Soothsayer didn't specify that the animal would be native to ancient China either. Shen's army raids a village for scrap metal. Po and the Furious Five come to stop them. During the confrontation, Po sees a symbol, triggering a sudden flashback. Po has a chat with his adoptive goose dad, Mr. Ping. He shares how he discovered Po as a cub in a box of radishes. Since nobody came looking for Po, Mr. Ping adopted him and raised him as if he were his biological son. Shen arrives in Gangmen City and he uses a cannon to take down Thundering Rhino. It seems like Thundering Rhino could have avoided the attack if he had just moved aside. Po and the Furious Five reach Gangmen City. They release Ox and Croc from jail. Despite their newfound freedom, Ox and Croc hesitate to take action. They're concerned that Shen's cannon poses a serious threat, and getting involved might endanger everyone. Honestly, it's not a bad plan. Staying out of of it seems like the smarter move. Po and the Furious Five destroy the cannon. However, during the fight with Shen, Po becomes distracted by the same symbol he saw earlier, allowing Shen to fly away. The other characters could have restrained Shen instead of just standing there. They should have saved the celebration until after they defeated the villain. Also, Po could have easily beaten Shen by using the Wuxi finger hold technique, just like he did against Tai Lung. As it turns out, Shen has a whole arsenal of cannons, so it's fortunate that Ox and Croc held back earlier. Even if they had destroyed the cannon, it wouldn't have made much of a difference with Shen having so many more cannons. Using the cannons, Shen demolishes the building. Po and the Furious Five narrowly managed to escape. In hindsight, it should have been obvious that Shen had more than one cannon since his army stole a massive amount of scrap metal, providing more than enough material to build multiple cannons. Tigress insists that Po should remain in jail, warning him that his lack of focus could lead to his demise. And she's right. Po's distracted mindset puts him at risk by getting involved. It's much safer for him to steer clear of trouble entirely. Soothsayer attempts to talk some sense into Shen, but it's a pointless conversation. After seeking revenge for the past several decades, Shen isn't gonna suddenly change his mind now and stop. When Po confronts Shen, he ends up getting hit by a cannonball. Po should have reacted faster and dodged the attack. Po should have stayed in jail rather than putting himself in harm's way. He's not only endangered himself, but also messed up the Furious Five's plan to burn down Shen's factory, resulting in their capture. Soothsayer comes to Po's rescue. Po recalls his mom hiding him in a radish crate. It's puzzling how Po was unaware of what happened to the other pandas until now. Wiping out an entire species is a significant event. Since the other characters know that Po is a panda, it seems reasonable that they should be aware of the panda genocide and tell Po what happened to the rest of his species. For instance, in Avatar: The Last Airbender, people are aware of the air nomad genocide, and they informed Aang of what happened. Po boldly announces himself to Shen, but he could have played it smarter. With everyone thinking he was dead, Po had the perfect opportunity to catch Shen off guard with a sneakier approach. Ox and Croc finally lend a hand. Shifu also jumps in to assist. Shifu should have been with the team from the start. Waiting until now was extremely risky, as the delay could have cost lives. Po reaches a state of inner peace, allowing him to deflect cannonballs. This is pretty unrealistic. Cannonballs are heavy, fast-moving projectiles designed to cause significant damage upon impact. Attempting to redirect them would result in severe injury or death. Po advises Shen to move on from the past. Despite this, Shen attacks Po. Shen unintentionally severs ropes supporting a cannon, and it ends up falling on him, causing his demise. Po returns home and he reunites with Mr. Ping. In a hidden mountain panda village, it turns out that Po's dad is still alive, and he gets a message from the universe that Po is alive too. So Shen's plan to wipe out the panda species fell short. There are still plenty of pandas alive and thriving in this village. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video. Here's how to beat Kai in Kung Fu Panda 3. Oogway faces off against Kai in the spirit realm, where Kai has taken the chi of all the other masters. Unfortunately, Oogway loses and Kai takes his chi. Using the combined chi, Kai makes a triumphant return to the mortal realm. Oogway should have prioritized escaping rather than letting Kai defeat him and take his chi. For instance, Oogway could have used his staff to come back to the mortal realm. Po encounters his biological father, Li Shan. The valley is being invaded by Kai's Jade zombies. Jade is incredibly tough and durable. Instead of relying solely on their fists, Po and the Furious Five should consider using weapons like hammers to break the Jade more effectively. The characters learn that Kai and Oogway were once comrades. During an ambush, Oogway sustained serious injuries, and Kai brought him to the hidden panda village in the mountains. There, with the help of the pandas and the healing power of Chi, Oogway recovered. However, Kai became consumed by a desire for power and began stealing Chi from others. Oogway realized the danger and had no choice but to banish Kai to the spirit realm to prevent further harm. Oogway would have been better off killing Kai instead of banishing him. This way there would be no chance for Kai to return and seek revenge later on. Why didn't Oogway ever share the truth about Po's species? He knew about the hidden panda village in the mountains, so he could have revealed this information to Po. Lee brings Po to the panda village. Kai steals the chi from almost every kung fu master. Tigress manages to survive the ordeal. Lee comes clean, saying that he doesn't know about chi. None of the pandas remember how to use it anymore. Mastering chi is a big deal that should have been passed down through the generations. Lee lied because he didn't want to lose Po again, which was a mistake. Po's departure left the valley vulnerable, and as a result, his friends had their chi taken by Kai. Perhaps if Po had stayed, they could have faced Kai together as a team and stood a much better chance against him. The truth was bound to come out sooner or later. Po's main purpose in coming here was to learn chi. Lee should have just been honest and upfront with Po from the beginning. It's not something he could have kept hidden forever. Po dedicates himself to training to take down Kai. Regular training won't cut it. Defeating Kai requires mastery of chi. The characters should dive into some research to uncover information about chi, perhaps finding insights passed down from earlier generations. Po comes up with a clever plan to train the other pandas by incorporating their everyday activities into kung fu skills. Mastery of a skill takes about 10,000 hours, but by incorporating their familiar everyday skills, the characters will be able to master kung fu more quickly. Kai shows up and he launches an assault on the village using his jade zombies. The pandas engage in battle against the jade zombies, creating a diversion for Po to approach Kai. Po tries the wuxi fingerhold technique on Kai. Kai, being a spirit warrior, remains unaffected. Po grabs Kai and he uses the wuxi fingerhold technique on himself, sending both of them to the spirit realm. It's a bold move, but not a bad one. However, it was a risky move, as there was a chance Po could have ended up in the spirit realm alone while Kai remained behind. Kai starts draining Po's chi. All the characters willingly contribute their chi to Po. Empowered by this collective energy, Po manages to conquer Kai and obliterate his jade zombies by overwhelming him with power. If Kai had indeed stolen all the panda's chi, he might have faced a self-inflicted explosion due to an excess of power. Allowing Kai to take everyone's chi could have been the strategic move leading to his own downfall. If characters can be killed in the spirit realm, Oogway missed the opportunity to kill Kai. Instead of waiting around and doing nothing, he should have acted and prevented the threat. All the kung fu masters get their chi restored. In the spirit realm, Oogway talks to Po. It turns out Oogway was the one who let Lee know about Po's existence, a piece of information he could have shared much earlier. It's unclear why Oogway waited until later to reveal this. Before Po heads back to the mortal realm, Oogway gives him his staff. If returning to the mortal realm was an option, Oogway should have used the staff himself and returned to the mortal realm. He could have assisted in defeating past adversaries like Tai Lung and Shen. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.
As you can see, the Kung Fu Panda movies are way better than Sword Art Online ever will be. They have stronger storytelling, memorable characters, and stunning animation that truly brings the world to life. The villains in the Kung Fu Panda movies are also far more compelling and well developed than anything you'll find in Sword Art Online. Each antagonist has a clear backstory, strong motivations, and real emotional weight behind their actions. If you're looking for another fantastic animated movie based on Chinese culture, I highly recommend checking out The Tiger's Apprentice. It's a great film with beautiful visuals and a compelling story that honors Chinese mythology and folklore.
Here's how to be Lu in The Tiger's Apprentice. The movie begins in Hong Kong 2009. It's the Lunar New Year. Tom and his grandmother, Mrs. Lee, drive away from evil spirits. It's later mentioned that the charms can ward off the evil spirits, so it would have been smart to keep some in the car for protection. We move to San Francisco. 15 years later, a man named Hu comes to visit Tom and Mrs. Lee. An evil sorceress named Lu attacks the characters. Mrs. Lee sends Tom and Hu away. She fights Lu on her own. Hu is revealed to be the Tiger Guardian. Tom's grandmother gives him a phoenix necklace. She then blows the house up. She shouldn't have fought Lu by herself. They could have all escaped together, or Hu could have stayed to help her. There was also no need for Mrs. Lee to blow the house up and sacrifice herself in the process. She'd protect the phoenix better than Tom. Now Tom has to protect the phoenix. A good start would be to keep it less visible, not hanging it around his neck for everyone to see. Tom's grandmother should have shared this information with him gradually over time, rather than letting him discover everything all at once. If Tom had been taught how to protect the Phoenix from a young age, he would be more adept at the task. Fu teaches Tom some combat skills. However, this training might not be very effective, since Tom lacks any prior combat experience. Mastery of a skill typically requires around 10,000 hours of practice. This is why it would have been more beneficial for Tom if he was introduced to the Phoenix earlier in life and trained extensively to protect it. Lu survived the explosion, so Mrs. Lee died in vain. This is another reason why she shouldn't have sacrificed herself. If she were still alive, she could have killed Lu. Tom is eager to confront Lu and get revenge, but Fu is concerned that he might end up in serious trouble. Fu's point is valid. Tom lacks combat skills. It would be smarter to steer clear of a direct confrontation and avoid her altogether. The characters visit the Temple of the 12 and reunite with the other Zodiacs. However, some of them aren't there. Fu wisely advises Tom to stay put while they take on the fight against Lu. This sounds like a good decision. Given Tom's lack of combat skills, he won't contribute much to the battle and could potentially become a liability. Keeping Tom out of harm ensures that the others can focus on the fight without worrying about his safety. Tom goes to face Lu by himself, which is a very reckless decision. Tom could use all the help he can get, as taking on Lu solo is a daunting task. The Zodiacs should have kept a closer watch on Tom to stop him from sneaking away and venturing off on his own. Tom has a sword, but that's not going to do much against Lu when she can use magic. Tom doesn't know how to use magic, so he shouldn't fight Lu. It won't be a fair fight. The Zodiacs come to find Tom, who suggests splitting up to cover more ground, but the others insist on sticking together. Staying together is usually the safer choice, since you'll have strength in numbers. Splitting up is often a recipe for disaster, as demonstrated by the common horror movie trope, where characters who split up tend to get killed off one by one. Tom attacks Lu, but he's no match for her. This is exactly why it was a bad idea for Tom to fight Lu on his own. Tom isn't wearing the necklace. Lu demands to know where it is. Tom should definitely not tell Lu where the necklace is. He should lie and throw Lu off track. Tom makes up some lies, but they're not believable at all. He should have come up with something more convincing. Tom hid the necklace in a bowl of fortune cookies in a dim sum shop. This isn't a good hiding place. The bowl is made of glass, so anyone who comes into the shop can see what's in the bowl. Tom should have picked a better hiding spot. Even hiding it under his bed would have been better, or throw it into a river. For example, in The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, we see how the One Ring was lost for thousands of years after it was dropped into a river. The Phoenix is capable of destroying all of humanity, and then Lu will reign over darkness for all of eternity. Why don't they just destroy the Phoenix? That would ensure Lu never gets it, and that sounds like a pretty dumb plan for Lu. Why would you want to reign over darkness for all of eternity? Tom goes to his house and he encounters his grandmother. However, it's Lu in disguise. Tom should have been more skeptical. He saw the ghost cart come to collect his grandmother's soul, so there's no way she's alive. It's obvious this is an illusion. Lu takes the Phoenix from Tom. It was stupid of him to bring it. He should have stored it somewhere secure and out of sight, and the Zodiacs should have been more vigilant to prevent Tom from slipping away again. Tom is nearly sucked into Lu's umbrella. However, Fu pulls him out and gets sucked in instead. Tom could have put up another barrier to protect himself and Fu from getting sucked into the umbrella. Lu plans to use the Phoenix to remake the world without humans, but isn't she also a human? That doesn't really make a lot of sense. Given the immense power of the Phoenix, it shouldn't have been given to a boy who can't even fight. The Zodiacs, being more capable, should have been the ones protecting it. The other Zodiacs are freed from the umbrella. They all team up to fight Lu, but it's too late. Tom doesn't fight. He instead takes the Phoenix and uses it to kill Lu. Well, that was easy. If that's all it took to kill Lu, it's surprising that none of the previous Guardians did what Tom did in the thousands of years that they've been protecting the Phoenix. Tom brings everyone back to life. It would be smart to destroy the Phoenix now, to make sure it never falls into the wrong hands again. It's way too powerful to keep around. There's probably a lot more evil people who will come for the Phoenix in the future. The only way to guarantee that they never get it is to destroy it. Tom is about to die, but who gives part of his soul to Tom to keep him alive? Tom is now able to transform into a tiger as well. Who should have given Tom part of his soul earlier? Having the ability to transform into a tiger could have been really useful in various situations. The other Zodiacs should give part of their soul to Tom as well. Maybe that'll allow him to transform into various different animals. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.